game, is it? Never get away from me. Your children and your great-grandchildren will know what it's like to live under the shadow of my branches. When you open your eyes, I'll be there.
Deceptive sins, rejecting inception when deception grins. Goosed up on juice and expecting twins. It's time Damo lifts them weights off his shoulders and neglects the gym. So he started snatching cash in transits and invested his paper in a box of flake, chipping rocks off in blocks and slates. Gathering his runners, peddling out his pebbles of white melodies, meddling the memories of Melanie's plight. His wife who gave birth to the girls he's devoted to, provoked by a local crew. He locked them in a van and watched them burn to a crisp. And as morning consists, conflicting more violence on a straddler and tore them to bits. Cause Damo lives in Hairlawn with his wife and children. Now grown up there, life will kill them. His twin girls that drives him on, but driving on. Here's Tiger, young pig on a power trip, searching kids. Cause what's theirs is his. Hauling chaps that call them rats, mobiles, iPods and all them chats. This is Greg, an 11-year-old runner getting stopped with Twig, who emptied out his pockets and found the rocks inside. Greg kicked him in the nuts and took to his toes. Twig jumped back in his van, undertook a truck and he took out Rose, swerving out of our way with his foot to the floor. He clipped a pack, flipped through the gardens and killed Damo's kids a fucking foot in the door. Twig walked away with a few cuts and scrapes. They put Greg in a home on the cusp of hate and living life live from hell. See the wood truck crack from inside his shell. Damo's overcome by his grief, done by the sea, slumped in a sea, eyes frozen, a slumber asleep, succumbing to them pitfalls under his feet. Reading through the tributes and some of the reeks, he went into the kitchen and started guzzling bleach till his sarcophagus began to melt and bleed. He cut his throat and hung himself with a bandage, but it helped him breathe. So he walked out his back and got his Glock from the shore, put it in his mouth, fucking cocked it and tore. Fuck this for a game of soldiers. I'm gonna kill Twig and Cold Blood and make his fucking gut start spill from his sweat. This is Kate, Twig's ma, who minds his kids. Well, a pig comes to terms of being liable is. Asleep on the sofa, she woke up and went to the sink for a drink and nearly jumped out of her fucking skin when she seen Damo at a window looking in, pushing a gun against the glass. He made her open the door, she got a loaf in the jaw as he made his way up the stairs with intent to kill. That's when he seen the pig's legs swinging from the attic and it bent his wheel and sent them chills as he stood there like a headstone standing at graves, stranded and dazed. Knowing they both found a hard hand in the days. That's when he turned around and Kay stabbed him straight through the heart with an angler's blade. Angered and raged, she stuck him with it till her hand was numb, trying to get the image of her head of her hanging son. She couldn't handle the grief, she went into her grandkids and started strangling the meat till their heads hang dangled and tangled in sleep. She took a handful of pills and got out of her head, put her arms around the kids and passed out on the bed. Slouching her head, she fighted the face till a candle fell and ignited the flames. Neighbours were alerted to the size of the blaze. Firemen arrived to find Kate alive, manic and crazed and rage while the panic was raised. She was saved while the banisters blazed and sent to the central mental institution. But the wrong confusion,
of her own son, but I couldn't allow them to believe that I would commit murder. He was always bad, and in the end he intended to tell them I killed those girls and that man, as if I could do anything except just sit and stare, like one of his stuffed birds. Well, they know I can't even move a finger, and I won't. I'll just sit here and be quiet, just in case they do suspect me. They're probably watching me. Well, let them see what kind of a person I am. I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see, and they'll know, and they'll say, Why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
This is hate refusal. Remember our son and his kids, well the day's the funeral. And the state even paid for the state removal. Hence Kate's refusal. They couldn't make exceptions and tag along in hate's direction. It's like fate was destined. Too late to belate affections. They sedate the section of Kate's complexion. 3 weeks to the day Kate was sectioned. The drugs are there to fail, so put your ear to the wall and you can hear her wail.
Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around.
While whispering a list of our fears, she hears the voices of our grandkids that say we miss you, we're scared. Saw the widow willows in her pillow just to tissue her tears. Thoughts are making her cry. She thought she seen the face of her boy, so she traces the sky and awaits a reply. I'm not debating on why she's waiting to die. As faithful as I and always losing sleep. She's bruised with grief and she refused to eat. She never yearned for foods that never tasted fabulous, till she ate a crate of tablets that escaped this madness. But nothing ever worked, that only made her sick. So she favoured slits on her wrist, found a razor and made some major rips. Then they put her in a jacket with the taser tips.
Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and you're never coming around.
The drugs digest in our brain, the lesson's insane. Cause living on this earth, such compressing our pain. Pain suppression with strain, restraining a sigh. In a craze when she pays the cry. Drugging up patience to parade the high. Cause one of these days she probably raise the sky. Cause she always has her eye out for ways to die. The cells in our brains ablaze, different days, same phrase to fly. She never strayed from the fact and always stated why. She awaits the guy, titled fate to play a fatal ploy. And so he did. She passed in her sleep like a lonely kid. Her file is closed but she's an open chat until they find a cure for the broken heart. This one's a Thorn and Rose's side, yeah? Paul Order. Everybody knows Rose, yeah? Everybody. Don't care if you're in Buenos Aires, Rio, Limerick, London, Dublin, New York, California, Chicago. Everybody knows Rose, yeah? Everybody. This is Rose from Roller. She arose from an opposing coma to be diagnosed with a known anomia, pneumonia and carcinoma, spreading to the lymph nodes of her vital organs. Nights and mornings, puking up in a basin and a fight to live, putting worry on the face of a fighting kid. An emblem of care, trembling with fear, resembling descendants that descend in a spear. Chemo brings an end to her hair, but she won't wear a wig or pretend that it's there. Cause she's headstrong, and if you think she'll do you a cancer, then you're dead wrong. Cancerous cells in her body keeps her jailed, depletes her of her strength and makes her weak and frail, prevailing through the deepest tales, sleepless pains, beaten but it ripped her seeks her veins. Rosary beads with roses side, tears welling up and swollen noise, stemming from the tumours grown inside, where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn in Rose's side. Rosary beads with roses side, tears welling up and swollen noise, stemming from the tumours grown inside, where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn in Rose's side. A hostage and a hostage fighting back, heartstrings tight till they finally snap. As in a final act, defiance built hope to avoid the fact she's paralysed inside with tumours, casting shadows on the highs with the lows, switching off from survivalist mode, cause virus is mold, violets from rose. Our eyelids are closed, drifting in a sleeping state, seeking fate, fatigue from radiation, not eating straight, screening the meds, the dreams in our head is the screams of the dead, screening the torture seen in our head, breathing through tubes in our throat, the machines with a bed, heaving to the cancer, draining her dry. Susan's cradling her mad and she's waiting to die, lying on her deathbed as cold as the day, her lips turn blue and Susan told her to pray. Rosary beads we rose aside. Tears welling up and swollen eyes, stemming from the tumours grown inside. Where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn and rose aside. Rosary beds we rose aside. Tears welling up and swollen eyes, stemming from the tumours grown inside. Where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn and rose aside. Susan's tears welling up and swollen eyes. Rose's child holding cries like she's old and wise, looking at her mother as she slowly dies, beset with fear, knowing death is here, whispering last words and gasping for a breath of air. Met with prayer, giving last rites by a priest just to please himself, echoing their pleas for help. Even to the cancer drain on her dry, Susan's cradling her mother, she's waiting to die. Lying on her deathbed as cold as the day, her lips turn blue and Susan told her to pray. Even to the cancer redeeming her strength, there's no suspense when her freedom's spent. Her soul came out where her demons went. She eventually died on the evening evil was sent. Rosary beds we rose aside, tears welling up and swollen eyes, stemming from the tumours grown inside. Where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn and rose aside. Rosary beds we rose aside, tears welling up and swollen eyes, stemming from the tumours grown inside. Where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn and rose aside. Rosary beds we rose aside, tears welling up and swollen eyes, stemming from the tumours grown inside. Where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn and rose aside. Rosary beds we rose aside, tears welling up and swollen eyes, stemming from the tumours grown inside. Where pain goes to hide and grows like a thorn and rose aside. A 15-year-old sicko, sick with syphilis, addicted to smack, evicted from her gaff cause they're sick of her crap. Deborah sells a hole for food, an addict damaged by needs, cause the rabbit up her sleeve had a habit to feed, inhabiting in habitats ravaged by greed, where the savages and scavengers scavenge the streets, feasting on her body like a piece of meat. And in at least a week, a wino named Brian got her pregnant and increased her grief. The devil's peddling his medicine to deepen the plight, defeating the people, beaten by life, for sight seeking or psych, meddling in heroin through the peak of a spike, sleeping on a sheet of ice she couldn't bank and go, giving birth to her son in a blanket of snow. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of her life's afraid. Her red eyes lights the way, she's a light display, sniffing white night and day. Her black teeth fights decay, she's popping blues, banging brown cause her life is grey. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of her life's afraid. Life in a colouring book can be plain as sin. For a baby born with scabies and scaly skin, Greg grew up screaming back at being bottle fed methadone and weighing from smack, seeing through cracks, evil's facts. A child grown up on a needle's tracks, treading close to the seams, all sewn up with a ghost in his jeans. Genetic defects for heroin hooked from the womb, with a bird's eye look at how it's cooked on a spoon. Chucked from the rooms, he conducted himself the only ways he could, cause it's dog eat dog and he bays for blood. So he started selling the dirt that consumed his soul, till he was chased by a pig through hairline, losing control. The pig went through the wall and killed them kids at the door, and he put Greg in a home in Inchicore. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of her life's afraid. His red eyes lights the way, he's a light display, sniffing white night and day. His black teeth fights decay, he's popping blues, banging brown cause his life is grey. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of her life's afraid. Painted from the palette of pain, balance and strain, balancing brains with paralysis, balancing veins. Greg's in a home, swindled from the dwindling streets, akin to belief, the symphony of sympathy rekindling grief. Mingling with Susan through the fence in the yard, essentially barred, where he can't prevent being eventually scarred and mentally starved. Greg told Susan his plans for escape, so he snuck the screwy off the workshop and stabbed your man on the gate. Took the keys off his Jeep, ramming her straight through the fence, and picked up Susan to play a hand with her fate, to avoid getting caught with a fuzz. They drove off towards Ballia, making ballies out of beehives and robbing shops for the buzz. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of a life's afraid. His red eyes lights the way, he's a light display. Sniffing white night and day, his black teeth fights decay. He's popping blues, banging brown cause his life is grey. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of a life's afraid. His red eyes lights the way, he's a light display. Sniffing white night and day, his black teeth fights decay. He's popping blues, banging brown cause his life is grey. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of a life's afraid. His red eyes lights the way, he's a light display. Sniffing white night and day, his black teeth fights decay. He's popping blues, banging brown cause his life is grey. Life in a colouring book, painting colours of a life's afraid.
When you're going into the clinics and they're asking you, are you looking for drugs and this and that, you know what I mean?
And who's offering you drugs?
Like the Russians and Polish people are offering us them, and any around coin.
There's no hope. There's no hope in this flat whatsoever. As I said, there's about 38 tenants in this flat. And I'd say 38, out 38, you'd have 28 drug dealers in the flats. Every second person in these flats are dealing in drugs.
Go ahead. Alpha Bent 1. Go ahead.
This is what it's like. 2 decades ago, Bob Geldof, then a little-known Dublin punk, wrote a song about the area called Rat Trap. The trap is still there. Out on the sprawling, impoverished estates like Tallaght, the people are getting angry. They're starting to take things into their own hands.
When do we want them? Now!
Marches like this regularly picket the houses of suspected drug dealers.
When do we want it? Now! What do we want? When do we want?
Their influence is being
We're
felt.
trying to help ourselves. And by rights, the government should be doing that for us. And regards the police, and that we are doing their job for them.
Whoever is out there, please, girls and boys, don't even attempt it. Don't bring this pain and sorrow on yourselves and your family.
That's it, yeah.
Don't do it. It's not worth it.
All right.
It'll be all right.
This is what happens. This is what you see now.
Ridiculous.
This is one of so many.
Greedy men bringing drugs into a poverty-stricken area, and them sick, they should be lined up and shot dead. Sick there.
That's it.
Sick people.
Push women and children have to march around at night, stand outside people's doors. That's the police job. Police should be going in. They should be taking people out of there. We know they're selling drugs. They know they're selling drugs. They turn the blind eye. We don't.
Nature, they say, abhors a vacuum. The neglect of 20 years has left Dublin vulnerable, first to drugs and now to the men who fight them.
Where Deborah never ditched our spoon, wearing craters on her wrist that depicts the moon. Familiarised with his family cause it's ripped the wounds. It could have been fixed if she stitched the wounds. No Gregs in her home, Matthews in her twisted womb. And Steph age 6 went to miss on the 6th of June. Abducted by a priest to the pits of doom, and fed to the pedo, sick and sound. Well, all the while a wild noise, a wild cries climbs my child's eyes, mothered by hate, drowning in the tears that covered her face. Smothered and raped, looking for another escape, developing cracks, trapped in a hell, hoping heaven would act. Being raped with a devil till a skeleton snapped. Nathan dug a hole but just to bury the hatchet, cause he dissolved Steph's body in a barrel of acid. The bishop takes the diocese's pawn, the choir sings the poetic song. The priory scions, propriety's dawn. As society's crimes has us trapped in the grip of sobriety's voyance. Steph is gone, but does Deborah care? Nah, She's more concerned about finding veins and hiding pains, but guiding trains through poison strains and masked with evil. With pregnant junkies play past the needle, skagging with the scrag, scrabbing scabs in their minges. These scabby skags are stabbing crabs with syringes, cause Deborah's an infectious spread, affecting Ma, rejecting Steph and neglecting Greg, injecting death in her infected leg. We're piping on a rock in the bushes, then hobbling on home, hopping on crutches, unstoppable rushes, pushing past the kids, throwing blocks to the buses. She made a home but her water's broke, locked down and we're back to the door. She claps to the floor, cracked her pipe and watched the last rock roll through the crack in the shore. The bishop takes the diocese's pawn, the choir sings the poety's song, the prayer of the scions, propriety's dawn. As society's crimes has us trapped in the grip of sobriety's vine. As Matthew drowned in our waters, rupturing my membrane, stuck in our cunt, holding off on contraptions, crushing the runt, jabbing his head with a crutch to push him back in our box, waiting for an amble to get through the kids to fucking whack them with blocks. And soon enough they did, and wheeled us straight to the kiln, wheeled away by waiting nurses to wheel our fate through the ruins, the foundation of ruins, the deliverance of death found waiting in rooms, lacerations and wounds, complications during birth, cramps, a terminal appendage, internal bleeding of the cervix and an internal hemorrhage, turning Deborah's outsides, insides and insides out, where insides built over who gets the transfusion, but they decided on Ma, so Deborah died during labour but provided a Pa. Deborah died giving birth where the pain was murder. It was plain as water. Matthew had a brain disorder. It's like he's out of his skin but he's vocal inside. It took him 3 weeks to even open his eyes, and Greg was one of them that couldn't cope with no noise. So as the years stepped on, he was a broken employed who started selling smack until he choked on his pride. But all the jokes put aside, he went into Matt and said I've something to say. We're moving out now that I'm engaged, me bored. He looked at Matt's face but still he waits for a word, staring at the space to move away in the world. With this place is the spirit across his face, his awful grace gives you all a taste of the sinful place where people found in bins is waste. Autism is a sin and they grin at rapes. Something's grim when it's in your face. Your face, your face, your face. Look, the church trying to pawn the pontiff. It's like he's always on stuff. This world is his grave cause he's non-responsive, broken and scared. Inside his mind lies an ocean of tears while hopeless spares, whose only emotions and one emotional fears, poking the spears through his ribs cause his soul doesn't care, provoking a stare like a priest when he opens a prayer and talks about God only hoping he's there. Greg was hooked on smoking the gear, so Matt's alone in his own mind, cope with the fear. And in a modest way, if Matt could speak to Greg, this is what he'd probably say: this is hell for me bro, cause the pain is great. It's like a fucking migraine multiplied by 8, so I never get a saying who decides my fate. It's like I died in my mind like beside my mate, and now I'm blind to hate and you're inclined to wait, seeing me drifting and out my final state, primarily human truth and my truest dread, alive in my mind but to you I'm dead, cause you're mean as fuck. I live my life in my head when my dreams are plush, and whether the surreal beyond the demons push, but when I seem to look, I seen the needle in your groin that leaves our feelings crushed. Look, the church trying to pawn the pontiff. It's like he's always on stuff. This world is his grave cause he's non-responsive, broken and scared. Inside his mind lies an ocean of tears while hopeless spares, whose only emotions and one emotional fears, poking the spears through his ribs cause his soul doesn't care, provoking a stare like a priest when he opens a prayer and talks about God only hoping he's there. Greg was hooked on smoking the gear, so Matt's alone in his own mind, cope with the fear. You could see it in his eyes as if they spoke for the world, broken and hurt, looking out with no words. He was born cold in a world without an ocean of war, and held back enough tears that be soaking the floor and drown you in an ocean if you open the door. Submerged and deep cause he never cared to speak, and tear his cheek cause all he ever heard was grief, and it was all his own. Pure the straw pouring out his broken home as we never spoke a tone. Although by Greg it was often said he'd be better off with his orphan dead. He couldn't get help from the HSC, so he surfed the web for drugs that would work instead. like the church trying to pawn the pontiff. It's like he's always on stuff. This world is his grave cause he's non-responsive. Broken and scared, inside his mind lies an ocean of tears with hopeless space, whose only emotions and unemotional fears. Poking the space through his ribs cause his soul doesn't care. Provoking a stare like a priest when he opens a prayer and talks about God only hoping he's there. Greg was hooked on smoking the gear, so Matt's alone in his own mind, cold with a fear. Broken and scared, inside his mind lies an ocean of tears with hopeless space, whose only emotions and unemotional fears. Poking the space through his ribs cause his soul doesn't care. Provoking a stare like a priest when he opens a prayer and talks about God only hoping he's there. Greg was hooked on smoking the gear, so Matt's alone in his own mind, cold with a fear. Fortress and the porch, the buzz with love is misfortune and misfortune is drugs. The story's about a couple just unfortunate in love, where it all ends at the steps to the porch that started in blood. Looking murder I would, let's go to before the depths of the court. The 2 months before Susan was swept from the curb, she always said love and no respect for the word. And Greg led a good life next to his bud, who went behind his back and had sex with his bud. But the mood went on, the cunt walked into his trap if ever she did. You see, Susan never knew that Greg could never have kids, so when she said she's pregnant, he acted as if it was his. But when Susan went out, he clung onto his fears. He wasn't one for the tears, but sat crying his fucking eyes out under the stairs. We're guessing not understand that Greg loved Susan with all of his heart, but now in his head to be always apart. Cause it's rough when the dogs on the streets are hearing your back, with visions of the tag looking there in the pack, tearing his heart in half while he's bearing the mark. Dropping tears for his fears, beating praise from a chat that appeared as a visual hat, visually impaired but afraid of the dark. It's a studio dub, skilling in love, so if you're new to this drug, don't be filled with its buzz. And what we do for the love, the dubious hugs. Just be cool with what you do and keep it cool in your mugs. Now Greg always snorted and got started by drugs, standing at the fortress where he ports the buzz and getting drugged up, running the walkings of love. And Susan was his force, so she sort of above, with the slightest difference from the torture and blood. The story's built a couple just unfortunate love, where love is misfortune and misfortune is drugs. Forever mine and Matt, and her being pregnant played on his mind and that. But when she got the kid aborted behind his back, man, he finally snapped. He stabbed her with a scalpel in her vaginal gap. She scrapped and scrapped, grabbed the scalpel and stabbed them back. They grappled when in hate, but they were kidding themselves. The Greg made a threat and said, I'm killing myself. Susan said, do it, then you fucking pig, and just went. And Greg was left canoeing the hood, cause there's nothing in this world he wouldn't do for this board. So true as the damn fucking truth of his word. Greg passed away, I guess he knew that he would, with a blade in his wrist, fucking spewing that blood. Susan returned the next day, still consumed by his love, but seeing Greg like this, she wasn't doing too good. So she left to her death, just pursuing she could, and was found on the steps in a pool of her blood. It's a studio dub, skilling in love, so if you're new to this drug, don't be filled with its buzz. And what we do for the love, the dubious hugs. Just be cool with what you do and keep it cool in your mugs. Morale and crowds are getting harder back as they wrap tape around his flat and cordon off his pat. Greg's pal Paul asks if he murdered Matt. The copper said he hadn't heard any word on that. Greg was the guardian of his autistic brother, now he's on his own. Matthew was a kid who always hid and lived to be left alone. He was desperate and scared as the rescue was searched. He climbed up through a hatch where he rested his fears. The next day Greg returned as an angel racing the sky. It wasn't even making him cry. Matthew sat like a statue waiting to die, till he finally did. He never moved from the spot where he finally hid, and was discovered months later by a migrant kid. Now Greg's soul was left canoeing the hood, cause there's nothing in this world he wouldn't do for his blood. Couldn't feed himself, he'd do if he could, so Matt not passed away, I guess he knew that he would. So his face turned to stone like Peruvian wood. It's a studio dub, skilling and love. So if you're new to this drug, don't be filled with its buzz. And what we do for the love, the dubious hugs. Just be cool with what you do and keep it cool in your mugs. Branded Brian, an abandoned mind, standing under understanding time. He thought he dies with crime, but getting life twice, it's not a choice of mine. This is the life of Brian, a tale which depicts a bit of spiteful swine. Cause even in labour when Deborah was dying, his only love in life was wine. She missed the vital sign. He always drank, so he stank a drink. He'd never think to tank until his drink was drank. The consolation prize, he lived on the steps outside my lies, but never gave a fuck about survival plies. Cause loyal minds are climatized to provide the coins that feeds his liver and makes his blood run cold like a feeding river, relinquished within a freezing shiver. His figure withers with the tones of harrow, shivers delivered to his bones through marrow. Livers pierced with his peers who are pierced by arrows, traversed on his spine like sparrows. His fucking mind is narrow. He thinks the kids that drink the wine with callow, homeless, straight and crime and kinda harrow. He even scares a shadow, cause Brian Clare's fucking tears are shallow. His sister just died, but he's a waste of crying, cause at a fucking funeral he'd have faced a shrine, begging off the people that would take the time, that the tasteful swine would do what it takes just to taste the wine. A state of mind where mistakes are blind. He slurs his spoken words, and when worse comes to worse, he always strokes a purse. The blows a broken force, forced to enforce thirst when he woke remorse. If you approach his thirst, he'll approach his urge and lift the basket full of change at the local church. And so he did, and then he stroked the wine. Though this time Nathan left a note for Brian. It read, I'd rather you take from the church than be roped in crime. He folded up the note, but stoked and crying as all hope was dying, and shuffled out of church with the open wine. Figure withers with the tones of harrow, shivers delivered to his bones through marrow. Livers pierced with his peers who are pierced by arrows, traversed on his spine like sparrows. His fucking mind is narrow. He thinks the kids that drink the wine with callow, homeless, straight and crime and kinda harrow. He even scares a shadow, cause Brian Clare's fucking tears are shallow. He provoked his vote with a folk don't walk, invoked notes soaked in tubs. The wine's driven by his demons cause the shop was cursed, and that's supposed to hurt cause he's the local splurge. He never had a toke but provoked his thirst. Now his liver's gone flat and his hopes are burst. Now the stakes are worse. He didn't take the cake but lets it take its course. Left the face an urge, naked, he couldn't fake remorse. So the boys at the gala lent him a mallet to break the doors. So he broke into Massey's to rape a corpse, and the tape records Brian in a state with Rachel Ford's fucking naked corpse. But like fate's force, he fainted first, and the bottle of wine impaled through his neck like the state was forced, and bored with the hate ignored. But did he face remorse? Well, the blast in his neck made him paint the floors. Figure withers with the tones of harrow, shivers delivered to his bones through marrow. Livers pierced with his peers who are pierced with arrows, traversed on his spine like sparrows. His fucking mind is narrow. He thinks the kids that drink the wine with callow, homeless, straight and crime and kinda harrow. He even scares a shadow, cause Brian Clare's fucking tears are shallow. Shallow, 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 shallow.
KGR and the boy to order kid.
A former reformed patient at the range, a patron saint and his snake in a strange. Standing at the bus stop waiting on trains. When his patience was strained, he smashed his head off the wall and tried to paint it with brains. Painting with pains coming off his head, stalking dread, sleepwalking, ink and talking with the talking dead. Staggering through the shadows of sadness, a sad soul with a sad soul, saddened by madness. Skagging off on a bag full of tablets. The Zimmos makes it harder to talk, streaming at the voices that's harder than thoughts. From the pits of regret to the depths of despair, where death is a dare, desperate with fear, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear. Smell of regret to the depths of despair, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear.
It's the wildest times, my ground for the young minds of Palestine. We're crossing the borderlines, considered a violent crime. South Africa, Valentine's Day massacre. Who's after you? Follow the blood path to these psychopaths, lead right to the dark path of Dracula's. Trapezoid coffins, Phantom of the Opera organs. When they trap a boy orphan, hack a boy organs. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and Morgans. Child sex, slave ring auctions, altered to the airport in Denver to the Georgia Guidestones. Now the NDAA is torture right home. Fuck cares, despair right there where the right throne. Babies in hut homes, their bodies is like bones. Skulls is caved in, poles faking, vultures waiting. No cultivating, the land for no culture saving. Nothing left, brink of death, face close to the pavement. And Facebook is character, profile for the ages.
The pits of regret to the depths of despair, where death is a dare, desperate affair, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear. Smell the death in the air, and retrace steps through the depths of despair. From the pits of regret to the depths of despair, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear. Coursed by the remorse, a priest asleep in a church on a cross. Nathan's coercing with the voices, sourcing his thoughts. On a course for the purpose, surface and loss. Cause the devil's mask is a cast of people, giving mass to the masses, a mask with evil. He took Steph while Deborah played past the needle. Deprived from breathing, Steph's doing for freedom, crying till our eyes are bleeding. Cocooned inside a shell, in a cell on the hill and soil in hell. Reciting chapters of the Bible to avoid the well. Preventing hate, tempting fate with a tempest's weight. Beneath hell at the temple's gate. From the pits of regret to the depths of despair, where death is a dare, desperate affair, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear. Smell the death in the air, and retrace steps through the depths of despair. From the pits of regret to the depths of despair, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear. From the pits of regret to the depths of despair, where death is a dare, desperate affair, dictated by the voice that he's destined to hear. Smell the death in the air, and retrace steps through the depths of despair.
Nathan, you're a dirty, ugly man. The cheek of you interfering with little children, how dare you? It's that poor girl that's suffering, not you, you dirty animal. How dare you? And may you suffer. You won't go to heaven, you'll go straight to hell. You dirty animal, you.
Remember Damo's wife Melanie and Pitfalls, yeah? Well, this is fucking her about a kid and Nathan and all that jazz, yeah? It's before all that shit happened, so let's take it back, yeah? This is Melanie Atkins. She gave birth to her son in O'Devaney Gardens. But for Melanie the memory darkens. She sold her son for a scar bag out on the hill. There's some dirty looking outfit out for the trail. Cause custody lawyers, he told his wife he found a baby on the custody drugs. Warned of her scams. She got furious at first, but then she wanted his plans. She tried to raise the child for a month but couldn't seem to love him. So she left him in the park in his pram, startled but calm. A homeless man picked him up but didn't start an alarm. He wrapped him up in blankets cause he wears his heart in a sleeve. Minus 12 degrees, so he started to freeze, shaking till his spine was torn. Everything he had, he used to keep his child warm. He wrapped him up in sleeping bags, blankets and cardboard. The man got hypothermia, so his temperature harbored below freezing. So he died with no feelings.
Archbishop John Charles McQuaid's dealings with one priest in 1960 were aimed at avoiding scandal and showed no concern for the welfare of children. Former archbishops also handled abuse complaints badly, with not one reporting allegations to Gardaí from the 1960s to 1990s. Archbishop Dermot Ryan failed to properly investigate complaints against 6 priests and ignored advice from a psychiatrist in relation to another.
The next morning, a young woman in the same predicament heard a child's cries and reached out and found them. The sounds astounding, cracking up with shock, nearly breaking, taken aback by his screams, clearly shaking. She screamed out for help but it fell on deaf ears. She addressed the stress but the hell compressed fears. So she flagged the car in off the road when it provides a target, and begged the man to take hold and the child to try and find the guard. He confided in the girl and said his name is Nathan. He's the same as Satan, he's a priest but he drove through the lane to avoid the station. He had the Bible waiting, liable to be violent, she got a violent baiting. He chained her to the wall inside his basement and raped her more than twice a day, cause the price you pay can put your life away. Trapped at the epic centre of heaven's tears, stuck as a sex slave for 11 years.
700 pages long, the Commission's report is a shocking litany of abuse and failures. It examines the Dublin Archdiocese's handling of complaints of abuse made by 320 children against a sample of 46 priests between 1975 and 2004, 11 of whom have been convicted. But in total it received allegations about 183 priests.
You see, Nathan's a sick cunt, sick as a pig. He got a kick in the ribs as he loosened the kid's chains. Little Kevin dropped him like loose change, stamping on his face, blanking out 11 years of the torture, blanketing his fears with the water. It's a blessing seeing joy reappear as he broke Michelle free from the spear. They both re-emerged from the house and seeing them there. Nathan's neighbour thought dead giveaway. It was awfully strange and rang the Garda who arrived to cart him off the Grange. They tried to sue the church but were refused the funding, so Michelle took Kevin and they moved to London.
It took Archbishop Desmond Connell some time to realise that abuse couldn't be dealt with by keeping it secret and protecting priests from normal civil processes. It also claims Archbishop Connell's strategies in refusing to admit liability often added to the hurt and grief of many complainants. This afternoon, the government apologised for inaction.
Successive governments failed in their responsibilities as legislators to put in place a comprehensive child protection legislative framework. Where there still remains a gap in child welfare and protection legislation, the government will take the necessary steps to put the appropriate legislation in place.
Carrying out tests on trees at the Phoenix Park in Dublin.
Today these knobbly scars are all that's left behind from those drug trials. Rotting bark, discoloured leaves, disfigurement and eventual death.
It's a pity that committee for sins, citizens in the city of sin. Gritty and grim, or grimace was a pitiful grin. The pendulum took a pivotal swing and pivots through the divots till the dividends drifts. An imminent risk in the midst of experiment lists. The division where your vision is marred, visibly scarred, trapped in a prison with invisible bars, stuck behind hidden meanings with the demeanor of a dream or deemed to doom, akin to belief. The symphony of sympathy for kindling grief. Each life's a leaf on the tree of life lives our lives. In its shade, the tree of death needs a rise, branching out from the shadows that embark on lies that darkens lives. Cause each life's a leaf on the tree of life lives our lives. In its shade, the tree of death needs a rise, branching out from the shadows that embark on lies that darkens lives. The tree of life died in Dublin, banded in chains, abandoning change, brandishing abandoned anger and rage at every angle and range. The outlook was outlandish, anguish and strain, the language of pain, languishing on landfills down in the dumps, confounded by drunks to drown with the dunks. The forgotten part of Dublin where fear is a place, where hopes disappear and despair is awake, circling out tears that appear as a shape. I know I won't triangles that hit the square in the face, like salmon of hate and chairman of fate, terminating James to the term and the bait. Cause these are the days the illusions fade, the confused and crazed become amused and dazed, in accordance with the news they refuse the phrase. Each life's a leaf on the tree of life lives our lives. In its shade, the tree of death needs a rise, branching out from the shadows that embark on lies that darkens lives. Cause each life's a leaf on the tree of life lives our lives. In its shade, the tree of death needs a rise, branching out from the shadows that embark on lies that darkens lives. Like Susan jumping out a window, or Kate choking on a plume of smoke, or Greg opening his wrist with blades, or Matthew's brain in a mystic haze, or Steph dissolving in a crystal maze. It can't believe the symphony of sympathy, the kindling grief. Torn a new leaf and take a leaf from my book, as dead leaves crumble underneath me soul, branching out to defeat control, till the truth is reached. The tree of life grows in a city where its roots are deep. Tripped by the vines when I triple your look. I make a hypocrite a cripple when I'm tripping them up. Your body's in a bag and I'm zipping you up. Channeling lies through the medium of media that's paneling noise. Each life's a leaf on the tree of life, leaves our lives in its shade. The tree of death needs a rise, branching out from the shadows that embark on lies that darkest lives. Cause each life's a leaf on the tree of life, leaves our lives in its shade. The tree of death needs a rise, branching out from the shadows that embark on lies that darkens lives.